The morning the excursion began, the sun rose over the hills like a fiery drumbeat. Students from the University of Ibadan filled the old campus bus, laughing and shouting as they set out for their field trip deep inside Omo Forest Reserve in Ogun State. Among them was Chijioke, a tall, calm young man from Enugu State, a final-year student of environmental science with a quiet spirit and a deep curiosity about nature. He carried his backpack, a notebook, a bottle of water, and his mother's rosary. His friends often called him Professor Nature because he loved plants, birds, and every living thing that moved. When they arrived at the forest, their lecturer, Dr. Beya, gave a final warning. Nobody should walk off alone. This jungle is old, older than the villages around it. Stick to your groups. Everyone nodded, but sometimes the forest has its own plans. It began with a butterfly, not an ordinary one. Its wings were golden, shimmering like fire in daylight. Chijioke followed it, just to get a closer look. Maybe a picture for his research project. He followed, and before he knew it, the sound of his friends had disappeared. He turned around, everything looked the same. The trees stood tall like watchful spirits. The air was thick. "Hello, anybody there?" he called out. No answer. He ran for a while, but every direction led him deeper into the green maze. That night, he built a small shelter and prayed. He had never felt so alone. For 2 days, he ate nothing except a few sour fruits. He drank from rainwater that collected in leaves. His lips were dry, his mind dizzy. He thought, "This is how I will die." On the third night, under the full moon, something strange happened. He was sitting by a small fire when the forest suddenly went silent. Even the crickets stopped. Then he heard a sound, a slow, heavy hiss that rolled through the air. From behind a tree, something emerged. A serpent, huge, scales dark and shining like all, eyes glowing gold in the moonlight. Chijioke froze in fear. But then, a voice came, not through the air, but into his mind. "Do not fear, child of man." He trembled. Who are you?" "I am Ada, the guardian of this forest. You have wandered too far." The serpent circled him slowly, her eyes soft and glowing. "You seek your way home. I can help you, but you must trust me." He didn't know what to say, but something about her voice, calm, deep, almost human, made him nod. Then, before his eyes, the serpent's body began to shine. The scales melted into light, the tail became legs, and standing before him was a woman, tall, flawless, and breathtakingly beautiful. Her skin glowed like bronze in the moonlight. Her eyes were still golden, but gentle now. She smiled. "Now, you can see me as I truly am." Days passed. Ada stayed with him. She showed him where to find food, how to catch fish from small streams, how to avoid dangerous paths. She spoke softly, telling him stories about the old spirits who once ruled the land, how humans had forgotten the ways of nature, how greed had poisoned the rivers. She said she was once human, long ago, before the gods of the forest turned her into a guardian serpent. Chijioke listened with wonder. Each day, he grew more comfortable and more attached. One evening, as they sat by a fire, he asked, "Ada, why do you help me?" She smiled, her eyes shining. "Because you have a kind heart, and because I see something in you." He looked at her and realized that he was falling in love. That night, when she sang, her voice soft like the sound of rain, he touched her hand. "You're not like any woman I've ever met." She smiled subtly. "And you're not like any man who has ever entered my forest." Their lips met under the moonlight. That night, they became one body, soul, and spirit. Afterward, Ada whispered, "Promise me something, Chijioke. When you return to your people, promise you won't forget me." He held her close and said, "I will never forget you. I will marry you, Ada. I swear it." She looked into his eyes and replied, "Be careful with promises made in the forest, my love. The trees remember." A few nights later, danger came. Chijioke and Ada were fetching water near a stream when they heard a growl, deep and monstrous. From the shadows leapt a giant wild boar with eyes like burning coal. Before Chijioke could react, Ada's body began to shimmer. In seconds, she transformed back into her serpent form and attacked the creature. The fight was fierce, her scales cutting the air, her tail whipping like thunder. At last, the boar fled into the trees, but Ada collapsed. Blood, bright and strange, trickled from her side. Chijiok ran to her. Ada, please don't leave me. She transformed back into her human form, weak and pale. Every time I fight, I lose part of my power, she whispered, but I will always protect you. He tended to her wound, washing it with herbs and water. He stayed beside her until she recovered. You are my world now, he told her. And you are my heart, she replied. But remember, the world outside may not understand what we are. He smiled. Then let them talk. I'll marry you, Ada. I'll take you to the city. You'll see my world. She touched his cheek. If you keep that promise, our love will live forever. But if you break it, the forest will remember. Weeks later, when she regained her strength, Ada led him through the forest. She knew every secret path. At the edge of the jungle, she stopped and turned to him. This is where your world begins again, she said softly. Chijiok held her hands. Come with me. Let's go together. She shook her head. Not yet. My power is weak. If I cross into your world now, I may fade. But I will come when you call me. He kissed her deeply. Wait for me. I will return for you, Ada. She smiled, her eyes bright with tears. Go, my love, and remember your promise. In the blink of an eye, she turned into golden mist and disappeared into the trees. Chijiok stumbled out of the forest, weak but alive. A rescue team found him 2 days later. Everyone called him the miracle survivor. He smiled, but deep inside, he knew he wasn't the same anymore. At night, when rain touched his window, he could still hear her voice whispering, Remember your promise, my love. Chijiok returned to campus, hailed as a survivor. But soon, strange things began to happen. He would dream of the forest and wake to find the scent of wet earth in his room. He would hear someone calling his name in the wind. Then, one evening, at a university party, he saw her. A woman, tall, beautiful, fair-skinned, with eyes like gold. She was standing by the door, smiling faintly. He froze. Ada. She nodded once. I told you I would come when you called me. But this time, she was not just the guardian of a forest. She was something else, something caught between two worlds. And her arrival would change everything. The night Ada returned, rain was falling softly, the kind that smelled like memory. Music floated from the university's common room, laughter, drums, and the smell of jollof rice. And then, there she was. She stood at the entrance, wearing a simple white gown that clung to her like moonlight. Her hair fell down her back, her eyes glowing faintly gold under the dim light. When Chijiok saw her, his heart nearly stopped. For a moment, he thought he was dreaming again. Ada, he whispered. She smiled, that same sad, knowing smile. Didn't I promise you I would come when you called? The people around didn't notice her much. It was as if she existed just for him. He walked toward her, unable to think, unable to breathe. How? How are you here? The forest. The forest knows where I am, she said softly. But I had to see you. You called me, even if you didn't know it. She reached out and touched his cheek. Her hand was cool. Almost too cool. He trembled. Ada, I missed you. And I have missed you too, my love. That night, they walked together under the streetlights. The city buzzed around them, cars, horns, electricity, all strange to her. Yet she moved with quiet grace, as if she had always belonged. Days turned into weeks. Ada began staying with Chijiok in his small rented room near campus. He told everyone she was his cousin from the east. No one questioned much, but Ada was different. She never ate cooked food. She only drank water, clear, cold water, and sometimes raw honey. She slept little, and sometimes, at night, Chijiok would wake to find her standing by the window, staring at the sky, whispering to someone unseen. Ada, he would say softly, are you okay? She would turn and smile. I'm listening to the forest. It misses me. But even as she said it, her voice would sound faint, almost distant. Sometimes he would see her eyes flicker gold. Sometimes her reflection in the mirror would shimmer like a ripple in water. Once, when a rat ran across the room, Ada turned sharply, and for a brief, terrifying moment, her pupils became thin like a serpent's. Then, just as quickly, they changed back. Chijiok didn't speak of it, But deep inside, fear began to mix with love. One evening, Ada cooked for him a strange meal of wild herbs, palm fruit, and honey. The smell filled the room like something ancient and sacred. She sat across from him, her face glowing in the candlelight. "Chijiok," she said softly, "do you remember your promise?" He looked up. "Of course. I told you I'd marry you." She smiled, but her eyes looked far away. "Then we must do it soon. My time here is short." He frowned. "What do you mean?" She looked at her hands. The skin seemed paler, thinner, as if fading. "When I fought the spirit beasts in the forest, I lost part of my strength. If I stay too long in your world, I will fade completely." He reached across the table and took her hand. "Then let's go back to the forest. We can live there. I'll build us a house." Ada shook her head. "It's not that simple. You belong here. Your soul is tied to this world now. Mine is between both." She looked up again, her voice trembling slightly. "But if you marry me, truly with words, with heart, our souls will bind, and I can stay." Chijiok's chest tightened. He wanted that. He wanted her, not just as a memory or spirit, but as his woman, his wife. "Then I'll marry you, Ada. I'll do it soon. I promise." Her face softened. "Promises again," she whispered. "You love making them." He smiled. "This time, I'll keep it." But not everyone was blind to what was happening. Chijiok's best friend, Kunnel, began to notice strange things. He saw Ada once near the campus pond, talking to the water. Her reflection was not the same as her body. He saw her eyes glow faintly when someone made her angry. One evening, Kunnel pulled Chijiok aside. "Guy, who is that girl you're with? There's something not normal about her." Chijiok laughed nervously. "You're just imagining things." "No, I'm serious," Kunnel pressed. "I don't know what it is, but she's not ordinary. You've changed too, my guy. Sometimes you talk like you're somewhere else. Be careful." Chijiok waved it off, but that night his dreams were filled with whispers. He dreamt of the forest again, dark, endless, and alive. He saw a great serpent lying wounded by a river, and from the trees, eyes watched him, dozens of golden eyes. When he woke, Ada was not beside him. The door was open, and the sound of hissing filled the night air. The next morning, Chijiok found her by the small river that ran behind the university. She stood barefoot in the water, her hair floating around her like black silk. "Ada," he said quietly, "where did you go last night?" She turned to him slowly, her face pale. "They called me," she whispered, "the ones from my world. They are angry." "Angry? Why?" "Because I broke the ancient law. A guardian is not meant to love a human." Chijiok froze. "What will happen?" Ada's eyes filled with tears that shimmered like light. "If I don't return soon, they will come for me, and they will not spare you." He grabbed her hands. "No, I won't let anyone take you. We'll run away." She looked at him suddenly. "You can't run from the spirits, my love. They are the wind. They are the roots. But maybe," she touched his chest, "if your promise is true, if your love is strong enough, it may protect us both." "Then I'll marry you tonight," he said. "Right here, by this river." Ada smiled faintly. "The river hears you. The trees bear witness. And under the cloudy sky." Chijiok took her hand and said words he barely understood, words she taught him, old and powerful. The air grew still. The water rippled. A wind blew around them, carrying whispers. When he finished, Ada kissed him softly. "Now we are one. Forever." For a moment, he felt warmth, like sunlight inside his heart. But deep within the forest, something stirred, something ancient, watching, waiting. After that night, Ada began to change again. She became weaker. She slept for hours, sometimes days. Her skin turned cold, almost translucent. And Chijiok began to feel strange, too. He started dreaming of rivers, snakes, and temples covered in vines. Sometimes, when he looked in the mirror, he thought he saw gold flicker in his own eyes. Once a lecturer called his name in class, and a faint hiss came from his throat instead of a reply. He didn't tell anyone. He couldn't. But Ada knew. "The bond is growing," she whispered. "Our souls are merging." "Isn't that good?" he asked. She looked away. "It is, and it isn't. If I fade completely before the bond is complete, you will take my place." He frowned. "What do you mean?" You will become the new guardian. The forest will claim you. Chijiok froze. His heart pounded. No, I'm not ready for that. I'm not. Ada took his face in her hands. Love is never without a price, Chijiok. Even the spirits must pay it. And just as she spoke those words, a low rumble of thunder echoed through the sky. The light flickered. The air around them grew heavy, as if the jungle itself was moving closer. Even here in the city, somewhere deep inside him, Chijiok felt it, a pull, ancient and powerful, calling his name from the forest's heart. The spirits were coming. Thunder rolled across the sky that night. The clouds hung low, heavy like spirits that refused to sleep. Inside the small room, Ada lay still, her skin pale as smoke. Chijiok knelt beside her. Her breathing was slow, her voice faint. They are near, she whispered. I can feel them in the wind. Outside, the street lamps flickered. A sudden gust swept through the window, scattering papers across the floor. Ada, stay with me, he begged. You can't go back. You promised. She opened her eyes, gold glimmering faintly through tears. The forest does not forget. It wants me, and now it wants you. Then came the sound, a low hum that rose from the ground itself. The walls trembled. The air thickened with mist. From the shadows appeared three glowing figures, neither man nor beast, their forms shifting like smoke and fire. Their voices echoed without mouths. Guardian of the trees, you have broken the sacred bond. The mortal's love must end, or the balance will die. Ada stood weakly, but her hair began to move as if underwater. Her eyes flared gold again. He is not my weakness, she said. He is my choice. The spirits hissed, their glow brightening. Then he must take your place. Chijiok stepped forward, trembling but determined. Leave her alone. If someone must pay, let it be me. The room exploded in wind and light. Ada cried out, and the spirits vanished, leaving silence thick and heavy. When dawn came, Chijiok woke alone. The room was half destroyed, the window shattered, the candle melted into ash. Ada, he called softly. No answer. He stumbled to the mirror, and there, faintly glowing on his chest, was a mark, a golden serpent, coiled around the heart. His pulse echoed with whispers, not in his ears, but inside his mind. Remember your promise. He ran outside, calling her name, but the streets were empty. Only the morning mist moved like breath. Down by the river, he saw something, her white gown floating on the water. He stepped closer. The fabric dissolved into ripples, and then, from beneath the surface, two golden eyes opened, staring back at him. He gasped. The water shimmered, and her voice drifted up, soft and distant. I am still here, Chijiok. I live within you now. The water stilled. The wind whispered through the trees. Her voice was soft, like a breeze across still water. And though he missed her terribly, a new feeling began to grow within him, power. Months later, he tested it quietly at first. He could bend flame, command shadows, even stir the air to tremble when he was angry. But with each use, Ada's presence grew fainter, as if his strength was stealing from hers. Be careful, she warned one night. You are only borrowing what belongs to the forest. Chijiok laughed. The forest? He mocked, staring out the window. There are no forests here, Ada. Only streets and people. And now, they will know my name. It began at the university. The students who once ignored him now noticed the strange gleam in his eyes. He didn't have to raise his voice anymore. He just willed people to obey. When Ada tried to stop him, her voice echoing weakly from his chest, he silenced her. You said we were one, Ada. If that's true, then these powers are mine now. Not yours, she pleaded. Ours. They were born of love, not domination. And then she appeared, Amara, a final-year student known for her beauty and her hunger for what others possessed. She saw the confidence in Chijiok, the mystery that burned beneath his calm. When Ada's voice whispered through his dreams, she carries darkness. She seeks what you carry within. Chijiok grew furious. Enough, he shouted aloud, startling himself in the empty apartment. You will not control me. You will not haunt me like some jealous ghost. For a moment, Ada was silent. Then she said, quietly, if you drive me away, Chijiok, you drive away your own soul. But he didn't listen. He chose Amara. One night, Ada's voice returned, broken, desperate. She is going to hurt you. She has learned the mark's secret. Please, listen. But Chijio turned away from the voice in his mind and looked at Amara. Sleeping beside him, he muttered, "She's the only one who truly sees me, Ada. You're gone. Stay gone." Ada's whisper trembled. "You forget, I live inside you. When you die, I die too." The next morning, Amara brought him tea. "Drink," she said softly. "You look tired." He smiled, weary but trusting. He didn't see the trace of guilt in her eyes. He didn't smell the bitterness in the cup. As the liquid touched his tongue, the mark on his chest began to throb, gold turning to black. He gasped, dropping the cup. Ada screamed inside him. "She has poisoned you." "Chijioke, you fool." Lightning burst across the room, glass shattered, lights exploded, but Amara stood unmoving, watching as the serpent burned across his skin. "I only wanted your power," she whispered. "You were just the door." He fell to the floor, clutching his chest as fire consumed him from within. The serpent mark uncoiled. From the blaze, Ada emerged radiant, sorrowful, her hair a halo of gold and smoke. She looked down at Chijioke's lifeless body, tears glowing on her cheeks. Amara screamed and fled, the air burning around her as Ada's gaze followed.